Hello everyone. So today we are discussing the question number 29 of P block elements, and this question belongs to exercise of P block elements of class 11, right? So what do you understand by inert pair effect? First question, we will discuss in detail what is inert pair effect. Inert pair effect is actually, if there is a question of 1 mark only, you can write that inert pair means one pair becomes inert. Pair does not take part in bond formation. Electron pair does not take part in chemical bonding or in bond formations. That is called inert pair effect. Now, what is the cause of this inert pair effect? Let us take case of group 13. Now, in group 13, we have elements like boron, aluminium, gallium, indium and thallium, right? And their general electronic configuration is ns2 mp1. So these are the valence electrons. Total electrons 3, 2 electrons in the s and 1 electron in the p orbital of the valence shell, right? So these are expected to show uniform +3 oxidation state. Okay, so they should have +3 oxidation state. Okay, so this is true of boron and aluminium. Keep in mind, only boron and aluminium they can show +3 oxidation state. But when we go down the group, due to inert pair effect, what happened? Due to inert pair effect, all gallium, indium as well as thallium, they show both the oxidation states +1 and +3. Now, as we move down the group, oxidation state +3, stability of +3 oxidation state decreases. See, aluminium, okay, is more stable in +3 oxidation state than gallium. Gallium is more stable than indium than thallium. Okay, but for +1 oxidation state, aluminium can never show +1. Okay, and that progressively increases. That means inert pair effect increases as we go down the group. Means stability of +1 state, you can write like this, it increases, and +3 state it decreases as we go down the group. So in indium, gallium and thallium, gallium, indium and thallium, we observe both the oxidation states +1 as well as +3. But in case of gallium and indium, +3 oxidation state is more stable than +1 oxidation state. +3 oxidation state is more stable than +1. That's why both gallium and indium, see, if we have gallium monohalide in which gallium is +1 in +1 oxidation state, indium in +1 oxidation state, they undergo disproportionation. See, we get gallium and gallium 3+ in aqueous solution, okay, along with X negative aqueous. Okay, so 3 we get 3X negative and 2 gallium and 1 gallium 3+ aqueous. Same is the case with indium. In indium in +1 oxidation state, it gives indium 0 and indium 3+ aqueous +3X. I said they undergo disproportionation. Do you know what is disproportionation? You have done it in redox reaction, right? Disproportionation means self oxidation as well as reduction. So gallium +1 changes into 0. That means it undergo reduction and gallium changes into 3 plus, so it undergoes oxidation. So gallium in +1 state undergoes oxidation as well as reduction. Same is the case with indium 1 plus. It undergoes oxidation as well as reduction. Okay, got it? So what is even if we talk about thallium 3 plus. See, thallium 1 plus is more stable than thallium 3 plus. Means in case of thallium, +1 oxidation state is more stable than +3 oxidation state. That's why thallium 3 plus, any compound of thallium in thallium 3 plus is a strong oxidizing agent, and this is also true if we see its reduction potential. Its reduction potential is plus 1.25 volt. Okay, beta. Now, how do you explain the reason? What is the reason behind the stability of +1 which increases down the group? So, as we move down the group, what happened? You know, in group 13 there is NS2 and NP1. So, this s electron pair, tendency of this s electron pair of the valence shell to participate in bond formation, it decreases. It decreases. Means we can say reluctance of s electron pair, reluctance, or we can say inability of s electron pair to take part in chemical bond formation, that is called inert pair effect. Means NS2 electron pair in case of gallium, indium and thallium tends to remain paired. So why it tends to remain paired? There are two reasons. Okay, first reason is, you know, in case of gallium, indium and thallium, there are d and f electrons intervening, d and f electrons. So poor shielding effect of d and f electron pairs. What happened to poor shielding of d and f electron pair? The ns electrons are strongly attracted towards nucleus. They are strongly attracted towards, okay, and that's why they are not ready to participate in bond formation. They are not ready to participate in bond formation. It is very difficult to remove them or very difficult to make them unpair. Okay, first reason is this. Second reason is, you know, as we go down the group, size of the atom increases. Size of atom increases. So as size of the atom increases from aluminium to thallium, there is a regular increase in size. Okay, slightly decrease in gallium. Okay, but though it is slight decrease, but regular trend is it increases as we go down the group. Okay, so energy required to unpair NS2 unpair NS2 electron, and when it is unpaired, what happened? Bond is formed. So you know, element and any other atom, when the bond is formed, energy released is less because size is large. So energy released is less, and that energy is not sufficient to unpair the electrons of ns orbital, because s electrons are more attracted than p electron, you know, towards the nucleus, because their penetrating power is more. So energy required to unpair the ns2 electrons is not compensated by the energy released when bond is formed. In forming the two additional bonds, means those additional bonds formed, because when electrons are unpaired we get two unpaired electrons, so bond is formed, okay, so energy is released, and that energy released is not sufficient to unpair those electrons, because when energy is absorbed, so energy more than that should be released when bond is formed. Okay, see, this is the case, like we have any element of group 13, it is ns2 and np1 and whatever nd is there. Okay, now when it is in the excited state, you know, obviously this is ground state. Okay, in excited state, take ns and np only. Okay, so it is like this. So here energy is required, okay, to shift the electron from ns to np, energy is required, and when this, say if there is only one unpaired electron, only one bond is formed, so that is always formed. But when this s electron shift to np, then there is a formation of three bonds, sorry. So these two additional bonds formed, and when these additional bonds are formed, energy is released. So you know, atom is large size, the element and other the bond formed is of large length, or we can say its energy released is less, because bond formed is weak. So energy is released, but it is not as much as the energy is required. Energy is required to shift the electron, to unpair the electron, to shift the electron, ns electron to np. Okay, means energy is required more than energy released when these two additional bonds are formed, and that's why that s electron pair becomes inert, because when excitation takes place, that compound becomes unstable, because that becomes more energetic, because energy absorbed is more and energy released is less. So overall its energy content increases, and that's why that compound formed is unstable. Okay, and this is the reason of inertness of the s electron pair, and this is the real cause of inert pair effect. Okay, so that's why it increases down the group, right? Same is the case in group 14, you know, carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. So as we go down the group, you know, its group oxidation state is +4, and as we go down the group, +2 becomes more stable due to again inert pair. So in case of lead, Pb2 plus is more stable than Pb4 plus, right? That's all about inert pair effect. Now second part is, what was the second part? Second is, okay, allotropy. Now allotropy. What do you mean by allotropy? So allotropy means it is the property of an element where it exists in two or more different forms, where its physical properties are different but chemical properties is same. Okay, and that different physical properties are due to the different structures. Okay, and that is called allotropy. So it is phenomenon of existence of an element in two or more different forms which have different physical properties but identical chemical properties. Keep in mind, chemical properties are identical, similar, but physical properties are different. Element is same. Okay, that is called allotropy, and those different forms, they are called allotropes. So give me some examples. Example is, yes, best example is different allotropes of carbon. So let us discuss allotropes of carbon. Like there are crystalline forms of carbon, amorphous forms of carbon. So crystalline forms are, what are crystalline forms? Where regular arrangement is there. So crystalline forms, allotropic forms of carbon are, yes, you can tell me. Crystalline allotropic forms, it is diamond, graphite, and we have discussed diamond and graphite in previous questions, and it is fullerene. Okay, in one it is hard, it is soft. Okay, in fullerene there are 5 and 6 membered rings fused together. And what are amorphous forms of amorphous allotropic forms of carbon? Yes, can you write? Just write amorphous allotropic forms. Yes, I am giving you time. Just write in the comment section. Allotropic forms, amorphous allotropic forms. Yes, written. It is coke, it is charcoal, it is carbon black. So these are different forms of amorphous allotropic forms of carbon, right? So you can write this much about the allotropes. Okay, and next part is, okay, catenation. Yes, catenation means, yes, it is self linking property. Actually, what is this? This is self linking property, and it is best suited element is carbon. Okay, for catenation. So yes, tell me, what is catenation actually? So catenation is actually the ability of like atoms. It is the ability of like atoms to link together. Ability of like atoms to link with each other or with one another. Okay, through covalent bonds. Okay, so that is called catenation. Okay, and this is actually due to smaller size and higher electronegativity. Okay, of generally carbon atoms. Okay, and at the same time it also depends upon the strength of carbon carbon bonds. So it is due to unique strength of carbon carbon bonds, carbon carbon single bonds, double bonds, triple bonds. Okay, so mainly the property of catenation depends on the strength of element element bond. It is the main reason. So catenation mainly depends on the strength of element element bond, and you know bond energy of carbon carbon bond is very large, and that's why carbon can form long straight chains, can form ring structures, straight chains, okay, or even branch chains, okay, or even rings. You can see whole organic chemistry is based on carbon only, okay, and they have different shapes. And as we move down the group, what happened? Element element bond energy decreases because size increases. That's why tendency of catenation also decreases. So tendency of catenation is maximum with carbon, and its tetravalency also plays an important role. Okay, so carbon catenation is maximum, then it's silicon, germanium, tin, and lead. Okay, got it? And allotropy is due to the property of catenation and p pi bond formation. So allotropy is due to catenation and p pi bond formation. Okay, that's why carbon forms allotropes. So that's all about question number 29 of NCERT exercise of P block elements of class 11. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. Do like, subscribe and share my channel. God bless you all. Happy learning. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.